I wasn't sure how it was going to sound. I'm glad that it sounds good. There we go. Let's begin. Good afternoon and welcome to Into the Forge. Here in the Forge, we will explore drawing, painting, and 3D modeling in Blender. For today, we'll be painting this guy right here. This is a Noxious Blightbringer. But before we get into doing any of that, we actually got a sponsor, believe it or not, in me. In me. Oh, we're already running into technical difficulties, but that's just how it goes, huh? We need this one, and we need to get this out of the way for this. All right. That could have been a lot smoother, but hey, here we go. So I actually have an Etsy shop, Penforge Art, same name as the Twitch. And we sell 3D printed tabletop terrain for Warhammer, for D&D. So we got some options here. I did do PNG files in the past. I can do that again. And I'm hoping that with Twitch, I can take the viewers along on a little journey on the processes of how I go from the concept of a 3D print to the modeling of it in Blender and to the printing of it at the end. So if you want to support, if you play D&D, you play Warhammer, and you got some ideas, be sure to throw that out in the chat to let me know so that I can get stuff tailor fitted to the audience and we can have some of the best options on this page. All right. Now, let's switch back to painting. All right. So, to begin, I actually want to show off a couple of yeah, you're not a streamer if you don't have technical difficulties. That is correct. All right. So, I definitely want to show off a couple of previously painted examples to give you an idea of what we're aiming for with this guy here. So, we got ourselves Typhus. This guy right here is a named character, an epic hero character. And as you can tell, we got good gradients right here where it kind of goes dark to light. We got this little dude right here showing off This is red. Like, the idea is to kind of make it uneven. The Death Guard are not really known to follow any kind of rules, I would say. They're all about spreading plague, pestilence, and last time I checked, that doesn't really look very uniform when you got the Black Plague. So I want the overall color to kind of fade in and out over the entire model. Um, for added effect, some of the models that I have painted have rust on them. Another thought of, decay and pestilence doesn't have to only focus on the human body. It could also be the equipment that they have as they decay. So one of the things is, as metal stays outside, it begins to decay in its own way through rust and corrosion. So that's what I did here on some of this. And then sometimes you don't even have big Space Marine, Chaos Space Marine models. You also have Poxwalkers. They're like little zombos. And I actually have a lot of these guys, and I've painted them each slightly different than the last. Going from, we got green with yellow pants, we got green with blue pants, we got skin tone with red pants, and we got red with green pants. And I still have 20 more of these guys to paint in the near future. But I feel like that's a more of a tedious project to have than streaming would allow. And then, of course, we got Plague Marines, and they go with the same kind of painting scheme that I try to do with some of the character units that I have. Speaking of which, let's dive right into the process of how I even got this model ready. Because they don't look like this, they look more like this right here. These are a couple of the pieces from the spruce before the paint even goes on, and you can see it's this just plastic gray color. And painting directly on this is doable, but it doesn't really sit on the model as well as it could or as it can before you actually prime it and base it. So what I did was I sprayed this whole thing black, believe it or not, and you can really tell when I lift it up like this. Let me see if I can get on the camera just right. You see how underneath it's got these darker regions, like a drop shadow almost. So once I primed this whole thing in black, I just took it, set it further back in the box that I was spraying into, and uh, hit it from an angle, like roughly a 45-degree angle. So all of the stuff that you're going to see from above when you're playing the game is going to be a lot brighter, and then everything underneath is going to be darker, but it gives this extra contrast. And that's because I like the slap chop method of painting, which uses these contrast paints right here. And this is the first one we're going to use. It is Plague Bear Flesh. It's a contrast, it's a little bit more transparent, and allows some of the details to shine through the paint. So some of these darker details are actually show up. I'm not too sure. Hang on. The camera can. Yeah, you can kind of see it. So you see all these little speckles on there? Those speckles are actually going to shine through when we paint this model. It's kind of like a beginner's version of painting because you rely so much on the base to do a lot of the more technical details to it. So the colors I'm going to be looking to use today is we're going to start with Plague Bear Flesh to paint the armor. We're going to follow it up with some Army Green. And then we got Citadel and Army Painter, two of the more popular colors. We're going to dry brush this Army Painter on. And that's going to give us that contrast, that dark to light, light up there, kind of armor that we're looking for. We're going to paint this guy, has horns here, whatever this tree branch looking thing is. We're going to use snakebite leather for that. I've decided that I would like to use some blue. We're going to use this on the fabric. I think that's going to pop against that green color. Black Templar's probably going to go on the gun. And he has this little tube right here that I think I'll paint black as well. And really, anywhere that I think black is really going to work for this model, probably not the most we're going to use. Here, we'll get that shade in a second. Next, we're going to use this orange color, Magadoro Flame. He has a plasma pistol, and you can paint the energy of the plasma pistol whatever color you want. I'm going to aim to have it be this orange color, again, because I think it's going to pop with that green. Next, we got... I like to use Basilisk Red, which is actually... If you look at this model, the little boils that I painted is in that color. I think I'm going to use that on this Nurgling right here because he has some boils and pustules on his front and back. I might paint him just so that it's not all green. I think we'll use, and I didn't pull this aside, Gilliman Flesh for that one. Then we'll paint all the metal colors, a combination of Plate Mail and Evil Chrome. Both of these are Army Painter. Anything that gets the Plate Mail, the silver color, is going to get some rust. Probably this giant bell on the top of the model here. And like Bob Ross says, any accidents are happy, and hopefully they're not too big. But we got ourselves a thing of water here to wash off the brushes. And then for the paints that I can't get right out of the pot here, we're going to use this. A buddy of mine actually put me onto this. It's one of those Pop It fidget toys. But what's really cool is any paint you don't use that stays in here, you can just pop it out. Well, I already did that prior to the stream, but let's say, we left so much stuff in there. How are we going to clean it out? You just pop it out. And then you're back to it. All right. Let's do it. Hang on, let's shake it up first. We want a smaller brush to get into the smaller bits of the model here. Let me see if I can get it up there close. Uh-oh, didn't get hardly anything on there. There we go. All right. See how watery that is? Yeah, that's definitely what we're looking for there. And it's actually going to fall in and out of all the cracks and crevices. And in turn, that actually gives it a little bit more depth because where it pulls up at is going to be darker than where it's thinner. And with contrast paints, I feel because all of them are lighter or transparent, you want to be careful about applying it to other areas that you want to put contrast paint at. So I want to put contrast paint on this big horn right here later on. So I want to try to avoid getting paint on there. However, the silver color that we're using, the plate mail metal, that's not a contrast paint. And if we get a little bit of this contrast paint onto this trim here and we paint over it with that metal color, it's going to pretty much cancel out whatever mistake we made there. All right. So there might be some pauses as I focus in on painting. But I will look at chat every so often. If you guys just want to talk about whatever you want to talk about, I'll chime in my opinion. As long as it's appropriate, I reckon. I actually want to shout out someone who's in the chat right now. He's actually a coworker of mine. He's been doing this for a while. I kind of dabbled at trying to do this a couple years ago. and I really didn't know what I was doing. But Bullet Breezy Gaming, I started asking him questions and picking his brain about how he does all this, and he's got me on track to having a good stream later on. So this is the first stream. I think we'll get some better angles. I did have a little tripod for my camera, but the angles I was getting just didn't seem right, or they didn't seem good, so that you guys can see what I'm doing. I think that's the big thing here. Everyone says that about not having the patience or not having the skill, but if you remember the Disney Pixar movie Ratatouille, anyone can cook, anyone can paint, or draw for that matter. Anyone can do anything. It just takes practice. It does take patience. So if that's something you're lacking in, then that might be your biggest handicap when it's coming into doing art. But like any process, if you enjoy doing it, it doesn't matter how long it takes. I mean, when I do painting or drawing, sometimes it takes um, hours. And unlike work, which I feel like takes forever, 4 hours will go by in a blink of an eye. And before I even know it, it's time to go to bed, or I had to go get food or something. Like, I had a job actually before this um, current job that I have where I actually got to do some graphic design. And let me tell you, I was loving that job. 4 hours would pass in a blink of an eye, and then they're saying, "Hey, you need to go get some lunch." I'm like, "Oh, it's already lunchtime already. We're already halfway through the day. That's insane." It didn't even feel like working. What am I looking at here? I think we're going to go ahead and just hit that with the green anyway on his little kneecap here. That's right. And they don't call it work if you enjoy it, right? That's why I call the job that we share work. Let's see here. All right. So this is really, really light compared to where I want it to be. And in the next process, when we do the dry brushing, I actually got a little mystery mouse tool off to the side here that I haven't shown off yet. See, this is going to be really, really dark, even with the contrast paint on, because as it shines through, it's really just going to be black. But we're okay with that. It's kind of what we want in our model, is to have all that contrast, that back and forth. This model might be a little too complex for the dry brush method that I have planned after this to really work, but I think we'll be okay. I'm gonna get in that leg. Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. Try not to get my hand in the way. Yeah, that looks good. All right. Next, we'll do his little backpack here, power pack. There we go. I mean, it's already starting to come together. more. So this is the one thing you got to really get in there and bring some of this paint to the top of this little lip here, because you run out of it before you know. There we go. All right, we got another follower. So you see in the top right corner, I believe, we got a little counter, and I need, it says 10, but I need 25 followers to get affiliated. And I guess that also means to get monetized as well. So I guess that's our first journey. Yes, it does, says Breezy. We need 25. So here's a little hard part right here. I gotta get just past this dude's head. I'm actually thinking about making his helmet, instead of painting it green like the rest of his armor, thinking about painting it that silver color, just so it's a little bit different, and then hitting it with some of that rust. Oh, we made a little mistake there. I don't know if you can see, but I got a little bit of paint on the helmet. Used to be 50 followers when I got it. Okay, Grandpa. And I bet you had to climb up hills both ways to go to school. I am older than you, though, so. By a little bit, I believe. Oh, with no shoes on. In the snow. See, now I know that part of the story is bullshit because it doesn't really snow where we're at. Not as often as other places. All right. So I think we got everything we need to. Let's take a look around the model real quick. We got the legs. I'm not too sure what this is. If he's like stepping in some dog dew or something, or something that's coming out of his armor, like a tentacle or something. Maybe. It looks like we got all the armor pieces around the whole model, and we're looking pretty good. So the next part of this is a doozy because it involves tape. Look at that. I don't want to dry brush the stuff that I don't want this green color. So something I like to do is I like to just take some tape, and this is painter's tape too, which is actually really good about not sticking so much to the model that it's almost impossible to get off. And we're just gonna kind of do a quick cover of everything we don't want to dry brush. Oh, what's that, Bullet? What's dry brushing? Well, I'm glad you asked. Dry brushing is the process of taking a brush, generally something that looks like this brush right here, and getting some paint on it. Then painting off most of the paint onto something else, wasting the paint essentially, until there's just a little bit of paint on there. And then lightly brushing this across the model so only the raised edges gets that color. And the stuff underneath or further down in the recesses does not. And that's where this color is going to come in, the army green. As you see, these models have a darker, deeper green, and with the plague bear flesh, it has this lighter, almost like baby food pea mash color. So, try to make this process a little faster. Like I don't want this gun to get it. I really don't care about the metal pieces because remember what we said. The contrast paint might show through the dry brushing, but this stuff is acrylic. It's a lot thicker and can actually cover up anything that we paint. We'll do that. We want to get this nurgling on his shoulder here. I actually have another thing that I need to paint here soon behind me. It is a I got it done last night building it, but I don't want to paint it just yet because I feel like it just doesn't seem chaosy enough. What I'm talking about up on my shelf behind me is I got, and my buddy terrorizes me with this model all the time. Every time I see it in his list, I think, oh, here we go. I'm about to get my butt kicked. Well, I got this. This is a Land Raider, and I did put some Nurglings on it to try to get it more chaosy, but it just looks not chaosy enough. I'm gonna try to see if there's anything on Etsy or um, Shopify that is 3D printed that I can stick to this model and make it look more chaosy, especially Death Guard Nurgle kind of chaos. But now I have my own, so I can terrorize my buddy. All right, a little bit more tape. I don't think I'm gonna get his. I need to get. Well, I do need to get this because I don't want to get this blue color is a contrast paint. So any green that I get on here will shine through that contrast paint, and I kind of don't want it to do that. So it looks like really, by the force of the way that the model is made, I'm kind of out of luck. I'm gonna miss a lot of spots. Here, actually, let's just rip this in half. Not the most exciting part of the painting process, but this is a technique that you can use if you're painting. I have trouble. So the same buddy that I keep bringing up, I says I have three viewers. He could be watching, but the same buddy of mine, he likes to kind of paint his models disassembled. And despite my artistic background and my ability to imagine things with my great imagination, I, for the life of me, cannot figure out what I want to paint or how I want to paint it when it's disassembled. I have to see it assembled. All right. So I think that's going to be good enough. Again, all of the metal parts I'm not too worried about accidentally dry brushing those. We'll cover that up with the metal paint later. And then just in case, I want to get any on this right here. Okay, there we go. I think we're good. All right, so next we got our brush. We're gonna get rid of this, move you over here, put you over there, bring this up here. And take our army green. I'm gonna put it in one of these. Put it in one of these. Okay, come on now. Put it in one of these. Come on. What is going on here? Come on. Okay. Something's going on here. Let's see. I got right over here on my desk a needle for just such an occasion. Good Lord. There we go. Paint on my fingers. Green, please. Come on. Alright, hopefully that's enough. Alright, so this process. I said it once, let's go over it again. We're gonna dab some of that green on there. But that is too much green. So we're gonna go find ourselves a piece of paper we don't care about, or some people actually buy or they'll have spruces that they'll paint over until the paint comes off. most of the paint comes off. All right. I just used a discarded piece of paper that was nearby. All right, so most of that paint's actually off the brush now. So when we lightly brush over these green parts, it should be that the raised bits gets that green. And now we're kind of getting it dark. Of course, the stuff we can get to is going to remain that lighter green color, and I'm okay with that. There we go. Okay. I think we're pretty good. All right, we don't want to be perfect, but we can be perfectly imperfect. Oops. Well, we got some on the bit of cloth here anyway. Oh well. Now we're going to peel off all this. Lordy. Come on now. That looks pretty good. I started using the Poxwalker shade. It actually adds more green to it. All right, my big fat fingers is having trouble getting this off. There we go. Well, there we have it. It's not too bad. It's got some I kind of want more on the top of that backpack. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to say screw it. We're going to do something like this. Come on. Yeah. I like that. That looks a lot better. All right, yeah, that looks good. All right. So now wash off our brush of any leftover plague bear flesh contrast paint. Dry off our brush, and I think we'll move on to snake bite leather. When it bunches up on these tree branch thorns and horns, it looks nice and dark. Excuse me. It looks good. Oh, we'll shake it up. So I'm aiming for this stream to end about 3 o'clock because that's when Bullet, or 4 o'clock, I guess, that's when Bullet Breezy is going to make it look easy on his stream. What are you doing today, Bullet? What did you say? What you streaming? Gonna continue with Star Wars? Oh, he might turn lurker style on us. This is a very niche stream to be watching, especially if you're not into Warhammer or painting or art. Yeah, there you go. There he is. So he said, yeah. And until then, just relaxing. I was at church from 8. Well, there you have it. Star Wars. What was it? What exactly Star Wars game you were playing? It It looked like this older MMO kind of game. There we go. The Old Republic. There you go. I heard a lot of good things about that game. I never played it myself. I find myself wanting to do this more than I want to play video games. I do have a backlog of plastic that needs to be put together and painted. Not just for this. I don't have just one army. I have 5 armies. And I think I have models for just about every one of them. Except for knights. Knights are when I want to feel really powerful and OP. Whoops. Paint. There's a little metal spikes that are going through and I painted them. Oh well. We will fix that later. I was hoping so. I'm also hoping that I can show off the Etsy as well. We'll do some. So I have another coworker. We'll just to keep his identity sealed. We'll just call him Omar. Him and his wife, and they like to play Magic the Gathering. And a couple years ago, I actually made my own custom tokens. And I'm thinking about picking that up again because he was asking to uh to have me make some for him. Oh yeah, I didn't actually mention we might do some we might play some video games on this as well. Maybe to let the creative juices recharge in our brain housing group between different models that we're painting. The main game that I do play a bit of when I can is No Man's Sky, which just got a big update and it looks cool, but the game has said I can't play it. It decided that when it spawned me into the expeditions, mainly just the expeditions, what I'm talking about, that I my ship just didn't appear with me. I have no idea where it is, and I'm locked in on one of the quests to go get a certain element to build the new truck, the new Holland truck. And because I can't leave the planet and I don't know where my ship is to leave the planet, I'm kind of locked. I can't finish the expedition. There we go. Let's see if we got everything. I think that's it. Look at that. That model's slowly starting to come together here. All right. We're going to put snakebite leather off to the side for now. As I get closer to finishing a model, I start to see the things that I missed because everything else gets painted. So I never want to put the paints up until I'm 100% satisfied with where we're at. I think the next thing we're going to do is that blue color. I like to save the metal for last because if I make a mistake and get color onto the metal, it's a lot harder to fix that mistake. Oh, what we got here? I've heard Space Marine 2 or something like that is good and it's in the Warhammer universe. It is. And it follows the Blueberries or the Ultramarines uh after Titus came back from the Death Watch. Yes, I think that's it. And he's actually the video game's actually canon to the tabletop game because they just released a whole bunch of models and another storyline following him going from lieutenant back to captain of the second company. And I think this is going to be the end of 10th edition, and we'll be moving into 11th edition. About every 4 years, they change up the rules just based on the I guess the current climate of how everything is going. Oh, I just noticed that you can't see what I'm painting. I don't know much about the Warhammer, but I heard it's got a huge amount of lore, insane amount of lore. You know what the 40,000 stands for? The 40K part of it. That's how many years it's been going on, or millennia, or something like that. Um, it's been going on for a long time, and even some of the lore predates that with Age of Sigmar, which is like a fantasy version of Warhammer. And boy, I've never heard of it, never looked into it. If you look into it, you'll be falling down the rabbit hole for sure. That's kind of what happened. It was almost like saying, "Hey, we're gonna do drugs." I remember coming up to my buddy and saying, like, "Hey, I'm kind of thinking about starting to do Warhammer," and everyone else in the friend group's like, "Man, it's so expensive." Like they're talking about like it's a drug, like we're about to start doing drugs. And honestly, they weren't really far off. I mean, me and my buddy have been playing for maybe somewhere between a year and a year and a half. I haven't really been tracking. I know it hasn't been more than 2 years. Um, and I gotta say, I've spent so much money on my collection, and my buddy has spent more than me, and he cannot ever argue that. In fact, he's probably spending more money right now. Um, that you might as well just go ahead and say it's an addiction at this point. Oh, I'm way up in the corner of the screen. There we go. That looks. Hang on, we're still missing spots. That looks really good. I think that blue color really pops. I actually bought this color to do the blue skin on some of these next guys that I build and paint up, because I like the idea of them being different colors. Like his like plague is making his skin so red, or you know, rotting away or something like that. I kind of like the idea of them having this kind of blue color skin, oxygen deprived maybe. I like to see more of the people that I know play Warhammer too. But after saying it's like a drug and spending $1 billion on it, or thousands of dollars on it, realistically, it's kind of hard to get people into it. I also think it has to do a lot with the fact that these models they don't come assembled, right? That's what they look like right here. They come in pieces. These are just extra pieces that I happen to have, but they come in pieces, and then a part of the hobby, 80% of the hobby, it feels like, is cutting these out, gluing them together, and then painting them. I do enjoy the 80% part of Warhammer. Yes, just like model cars from back in the day. But instead of just sitting there and letting them look pretty, once in a blue moon, you can get together with your friends and say that they're fighting each other. The other thing, all right, so the other thing is Games Workshop really lets you play around with making your own lore. And here, we'll take a little quick pause on painting so I can explain what I mean by that. So, when I got into it, me and my buddy, we were looking at loyalists. Which loyalist factions can we, or Marines, Space Marines specifically, can we join? And we started looking into the lore of it, reading up on it. And I'm going to tell you right now, I was so close, this close, to picking what I now despise. I hate this group, the Iron Warriors. I almost picked them because the lore, I was like, this is really cool. But then I found out that they don't have anything to do with being loyal to the Emperor. So I picked the other ones, the Imperial Fists. But then the way I started painting the Imperial Fists led me to actually create a successor chapter to the Imperial Fist that's all my own. It's not canon to the story, but because you get to kind of paint the models however you want, you can get to have fun writing your own story, your own lore to it. So what I ended up doing, let's see here. Some of the first ones, and actually, you brought up Space Marine 2. I did this in the character customization of that game. This is one of the first models I ever painted. Hang on. Let it focus in here. So this is one of the first models I ever painted. And all right, not you're taking all the glory. Get out of here. What? No. Why are you so blurry? Okay. Here in the video game Space Marine 2, I made the right arm red just for shits and giggles. I had no idea that this was going to inspire me later on when we actually started really getting into this, to create the Red Fists of Dorn. That is what I decided to call my successor chapter, and every sergeant and leadership unit has this red arm. So when I actually got Darnath Lysander later on, look at that. I painted his arm red. The fist is red. Fist is red up there too. Fist on his cape is red. This isn't Darnath Lysander for the purposes of my lore. This is Stonewall. He's the first company captain of the Red Fist of Dorn. And I got more into the lore, and I decided that, yeah, I really want to like create characters for all of them. But I also unshamelessly or shamelessly, I put in a self-insert. Because, sometimes you just like, hey, I got the assassinate. Let me get the extra points by killing this character. This character being me. This is the second captain of the Red Fists of Dorn. And this is Weathers in Gravis armor. There might be an update to the model just because I heard that you can make custom characters now. That they got plans to release a book to let you take a base and add weapons to it, and it tells you how many points it would be for your army. So I'm thinking this is going to be melee. He's got a power fist, a relic power fist. He's got a power sword here in the back. He's got this gauntlet, which has the pistol keyword, which allows him to shoot in engagement range. You might notice he's got some Necron helmets, or heads. They're not helmets, they're heads, strapped to him. The lore that I had for him and his Dorn's Finest, his group, is that they've been fighting the Necrons for a while. They've been deployed on the Necron front. But that's what's so cool about Warhammer, is you get to really make your own lore up. My buddy, he loves the lore. He isn't going to deviate from that and make his own stuff up. He picks salamanders, which really fits his personality, I think. I think it was perfect. But he's going to stick to the lore as best he can. And he's actually looking forward to the character customization, because there's characters that don't have data sheets that are in the lore, in the books, in the shows. And he definitely wants to capture them on the tabletop. If this camera wasn't hooked up to my computer, I would love to bring it over to the cabinet where you can see everything. But I did say we're painting our Noxious Blightbringer today, so we need to get back onto that and away from our little deviation. All right, we got this blue fabric painted up. Now it's time to move over to some Gilliman flesh, and we're gonna paint his little buddy here, his little nurgling buddy. Oh, hang on, I do this every time. We gotta shake it up real quick. It's been sitting for a couple days. All right, here we go. You can actually layer this a couple of times to actually get some better or darker skin tones too. And that's what I was talking about. Like, see how dark it is down here, and then it fades into the lighter color, or I guess fading wouldn't be the right choice. Reverse fades into the lighter color. So all the paint that gets in that in between fades into a darker shade of Gilliman flesh. There's also a lot of different factions that are not Space Marine oriented. They have orcs. They got the Tau. They got Necrons. Immortal robots is what they are. They got dwarves too. The Leagues of Votan. I feel like I'm just trying to sell you on joining this addiction. Okay, that looks good. All right. So let's see. What else are we thinking about? We got metal coming up. Electronic addiction? What do you mean by that? Video games? Or gambling? What is it? Gambling on CSGO, whatever our quality control manager likes to say? We'll just call our quality control manager. I'll make a name up real quick. We'll just call him Aaron. But Aaron likes to gamble. Oh, we don't want Snakebite. We actually want Black Templar, another successor chapter to the Imperial Fists. There we go. I'm actually like this is like a dark, almost black blue. Like it's not. It looks black, but I've seen it kind of look more blue. I'm gonna put it here on this little hose thing. Nah, I like to buy a lot of peripherals. Peripherals? Like lights, mics here. Oh. You just like making your stream look really good. I think what you should do is that light that you had in your stream yesterday, was that like just like a strobe light that set above you, or could you hook something up like LED strips around the corners of the room or around the door that's behind you and just have it like kind of flash? Or oh, you seen those TVs that have the lights behind it so that when things happen it shines the color behind it? That'd be kind of cool for the Star Wars game if it's like flashing lights behind every time you're attacking. Oh, my thumb's in the way. So yeah, I got to get a better setup for how we're going to do this painting in the future. I'm wondering if do I get a what is it? A GoPro and strap it to my dome piece and just paint like that? Then I can bring you around the room. Whenever we do a gaming stream, you'll get to see behind me. You'll see my cabinet. with all my models on it. I did. Hey, so I did say that I have 5 armies. I can go ahead and list them off. I mean, Imperial Fists, Death Guard, those we just talked about. Oh, here we go. What's up, Breezy? No, it was a Govee light bulb, and I'm gonna buy, or I'm gonna get some light strips, and you can do that. If I was doing something like that, I would use GoPro. Yes, GoPro. Wireless. I mean, I guess you could do it on the phone. I did go to there's a gaming store in Duluth, Georgia. Uh-oh. Don't dox me. Anyway, that I went to called Level Up. Fantastic store, great staff. Um they had an event when I went the other weekend, and there was this girl that was streaming there. She was streaming the pre-release. She was using her phone. So there's a possibility I do something like that. But my phone's janky. I've been looking to get a new one anyway. All right, look at that. That's pretty good. Oh, I think we missed a spot actually. I'm actually looking to maybe getting a wireless clip on mic so I can move around more. I think we have the same mic actually. Come to think of it, hang on. I can at least do this. Look at that. Oh. I think it's the same mic. You got that little M on the front of it. You can barely see it on the camera. That I think is coincidental. It's the same one. I can't show you the camera I got, but it's a E-Meet. Do you have that same camera? Oh my god, dude. I'm not even trying to copy you, but that is kind of funny. The coincidence of that. I just want to be like you, Dad. Okay, now I'm starting to think we're good to go. Actually, so yes, good quality, good price. They're also Amazon's top pick for these things, for microphones and webcams. So I think that was the main reason I ended up selecting it. All right, now I think our plasma pistol is good to go. I'm a big fan of plasma pistols and multi meltas and meltas like that. I do have a lot of units in my Imperial Fist army that use those. I wasn't done listing off my armies either. I do have Necrons, and I do have Admech. Admech has been the most expensive one price wise so far, but I think I've had the most successful play with it. I think I've had the most victories with it. I want to go so far as to say that uh, my buddy has not beaten this army once. Another coworker of ours, we'll just call him Randy. Um, he's actually destroyed that army. He plays Space Wolves. They're like a Viking thing. All right, I haven't used this one yet. The one thing that I have a gripe on is the way they seal these. Kind of annoying. Let's give it a good shake. It's really in there. All right, I'm hoping that this has a really good. It is very vibrant. I want to get this really good vibrant orange on these. So on the very top of this plasma pistol, that's like, I guess it's like an exposed energy coil. A lot of times I paint them like a baby blue or like a lighter blue, but I want to paint these orange. Actually, come to think of it, I think he's the only person so far that I've painted a plasma weapon for. No, no, that might not be true. I think I have I think I have a guy. No, no, it is true. I actually gave a Melta to one of my death or my plague guards or blah, 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 plague marines. Uh-oh. We're pulling a little of that black in there. That is a problem. That looks pretty good. All right. So we're done with that. So we got the metal now. I think that's the last little bit of this model. The metal. Let's actually go ahead and do. We're going to use this basilisk red to give those boils on the back of our little guy here. Oh, I got some green on the bell. All right, I'm going to give those boils a little bit of something to pop. So we're going to use this. Basilisk red is what we just grabbed. Take a look at that. Some I'm gonna go lurking mode for a bit. I'll be here to do some stuff around the house. Hey, you know what? I appreciate you being here for my first real official stream. Uh, I appreciate you giving me a follow even before I started streaming. So all of that, I appreciate the support. Go lurking, go do your chores or whatever you got to get ready for tomorrow, and I'll just keep painting. For the other two viewers, I reckon I have. We got something else I didn't pull out that we will talk about in a second. When you think of people who are sick and gross, you think of them being slimy and goopy. I have almost like nail polish, gloss varnish. This stuff reflects light, gives it a nice sheen to it, which if you look like this guy right here, he's got that shine to him. If it wasn't so blurry. Come on, focus up. Come on. Ah, lordy. It's really struggling. It really wants to focus on this bottle back here. Come on. There you go. So he's got some of that varnish on him that gives him that little shine to him. It's a little hard to translate on the camera, but it does look really good in person. There we go. A little bit there, a little bit there. Yeah, now those little boils look like they're popping off, popping out. Okay. All right, with that being said, I believe it's time to just go ahead and start painting all this metal. All right. Let's start with everything that I'm going to paint this evil chrome color. We don't put rust on the evil chrome. I just don't think it would look good, is the main thing. So, these things at the very bottom of these chains, I believe they're sensors. Like I always relate them to church priestly things. So each one of these spiky orbs are going to be this evil chrome color. And I believe I want everything else to be the silver color. So let's go ahead and get started. Whoa! I was having trouble with the green. I'm not having trouble with the chrome. We like to get a generous amount on there. Because the best thing about paint is you can just push it around. You can push it around to every nook and nanny. Crooked nanny? No, a crooked nanny. You can get in all the holes, the crevasses. A crooked nanny. That's why they have the nanny cams, I guess. So so one of the other reasons I like to paint the model after it's fully put together is some of the areas you don't actually have to worry about painting. Some of the stuff that you're never gonna see, like way up in that armpit crack up there, you're not gonna see that. So at the end of the day, you get to save a little bit of paint and a little bit of trouble. Yeah, look at that. Coming together. You really need to take care of your brushes too after you're done, as I am learning the hard way. I'm a little rough with these brushes, and some of these brushes that I really like using are so frayed now. They actually start getting paint everywhere but where I want it to be. There we go. Mm-mm-mm. Of course, the chains are gonna. I think this is gonna really be the only thing that I paint this chrome color. I do like to use it as accents with my admech. Every bolt that I can paint is painted in this evil chrome color, while everything else kind of remains a gray, silver gray, or the way I did them is a lot different than the way that I paint these guys, and a lot different than the way that I paint. My Space Marines. There you go. I've been painting, and you've been not seeing what I'm painting. There we go. So now I got to be careful because this covers up. It doesn't let anything shine through. And I really don't want to get it all over my model, all over the green of my model, knowing it's going to cover that green up. And mainly the reason why I kind of want to stay to the end, or keep this to the end, I guess it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because if I am not paying attention to what I'm doing, I get it all over the other parts of my model. I think it's kind of unavoidable, the angle I have to be at to get the bottom of this. I can show you. Alright, so there you go. Actually, there's this little thing on the back of his backpack that has that same pattern to it. I think I'm going to go ahead and just paint that as well. sometimes just having a spot of a different color. Yeah, there we go. Just makes it pop. All right. So that's really all I want to do for the evil chrome. Oh, no, I don't. There's one more. Just kidding. Let's get into it. There you go. So you guys can try to see what I'm doing. And the back of it. So I think for the next stream, I'm really only going to be able to stream during the weekends. And Sundays are going to be probably every other weekend that I'm not doing D&D. But I think for our next weekend stream, and we'll probably stream around this time as well, noon to about 3 o'clock, 3, 4 o'clock. Or however, I guess really however long it takes me to get the model done. Or to accomplish the task that we have set for ourselves during that stream. But I'd like to get some drawing done. It has been a second since I did a really serious drawing. Yeah, there we go. Now we got all these little sensors dangling off of him. I think we're going to go ahead and move on to the silver plate mail color. I'm running out of this paint. I need to get more. And we've been using this tiny brush for a while now. It's been working well, but we got some bigger pieces to cover. Actually, let's focus on the bigger pieces after, because we do have the trim. We've got 3 little skulls over here that I'm going to paint silver. So actually, let's just stay with our small brush and let's paint this trim. We can be a little loosey-goosey with painting around this helmet, since the idea is to make the helmet silver as well. Or rusted. You almost can't tell that I did anything. That silver blends in very well with the white. If you were not looking. Here we go. These little bells. You can ring my bell, ring my bell. I haven't done as much research in the lore of Death Guard as I should. I don't even know what the bells represent, but you do see a lot of them. Maybe it's for who the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. Oh, hang on. Let me put it in this so maybe you can see. That's not too bad. We got all these chains in the back as well. These actually, I'm going to paint this silver as well. These are like little fly charms. Like I said, you almost can't even tell the difference. I'm looking at it with my eyeballs and I can't tell the difference. We'll be able to tell the difference once we really get the rust on them. Oh wait, hang on. Don't want to forget these little nails. Top of the stick thing. I mean, this all looks like wood to me, but I know they're like horns. But the idea of saying that they're horns made of wood, that's a cool concept, I think. I have seen other ways that people have painted. I'm kind of sticking close to the color scheme that they're supposed to be. But I've seen the way other people paint these, and some of them, they make those horns really light color. I'm actually going to use two washes now that I come to think of it. I'm a big fan of this strong tone wash that Army Painter makes. I'm not going to use it for the armor. I did I'm going to call it a secret model in case my buddy's watching and I don't spoil the surprise, where I use the Poxwalker Shade, which is a wash, on the green parts of the armor, and I like the way it looked. So I'm going to start doing that. That's going to be the standard moving forward. And I'm going to use the strong tone on like the fleshy bits, the metal, the horns. That's what I'm going to rock with that. All right. Now we're going to do this helmet. And this helmet just gives me that like it's like a bell helmet, similar to that. I mean, this guy's got to be deaf to have such a huge bell ringing over him all the time. See, this is what I'm talking about. I can't get to the back of this helmet, but then at the same time, like, you're not going to see it. Maybe there's this little spike right here that's poking out that you can see. Sweet. So we got that side, we got this side, we got those bells, we got these little charms. Oh, we gotta get the front of these spikes. Front of those spikes. Let's get this bell right here as well. I was thinking about getting a bigger brush, but I guess this little one is doing just fine. Yeah, there we go. All right, now we're moving on to the chains here. We got so much green on there, but acrylic paint is opaque. You can't see through it. Little Porky Pig moment, but you get what I mean. You can't see through the paint. It's not gonna matter that I got it green. I actually see that I didn't get the other side of this trim on the pauldron. It's good. He's got this big old mace here too. That is the shape of a bell. Bell mace. Don't really need to get up in the bell that much in the bell mace. I'd even say you could get away with like dry brushing the bottom. The idea is supposed to be dark in there, right? I guess we could have made that whole the could have made the handle of this metal, but I think it's fine if it's or not metal, wood. But I think it's fine if it's metal. Oh, he's got a little. I didn't even see this little charm right here. And we gotta get the inside of this chain in between his arm and his body. And then we got the other chain in between his body and his arm over here. We're just about to the end of it all. We get to do the wash part. I kind of want to say that's my favorite part of painting because you get something that looks good and then you hit it with the wash and then it pops. And you're like, whoa. Parts of it, parts of the model that didn't look as good suddenly just look amazing. Brings some of the color forward. Oh yeah. So one of the other things that wash does is that if you miss any spots, like there's a little bit of white in between the helmet and the pauldron there, but that wash is going to settle into that crack and it's going to give it color. All right. I think we are going to move over to our bigger brush just so the we can hit the bell. Let's see. That's too big. Not that one. Okay. Here we go. I was saying, like half this brush is just the paint didn't get washed out of it well enough, so now it's hard. And I only have the very end of it that still works, and parts of it are coming off. Oh well. Just buy some new brushes. All right. Let's tack that bell. I actually really like these rectangle square tip brushes more. I really like the way they apply the paint to the model. The chiseled kind of tip where they come at an angle, those are really good because you can actually angle it to the pointy end, or I guess the end. If you think about like a sharpie, you know how the sharpies have chisel tips, and you can have it either focus on a little point or have it more broad. That's what I like about them is because you can focus with that one pointed end and get in there. Look at that. Yeah, that's a bell, all right. We're just gonna be sloppy inside the bell because it's not really that important. Okay, so I think that's everything that we got to get done on the base of it. So now we could do the wash. Oh wait, there's these little skulls right here. I did say I was gonna paint those. I was gonna paint them the silver color, but they're so small that I think trying to put the rust effect paint on it later. Oh, damn it. My brush fell apart. There we go. Anyway, I think putting the fresh rust effect paint on there afterwards is just going to get lost on it. So I think we're going to just stick with that evil chrome that we had a little bit earlier, and we're going to put it onto those skulls. And really can't even see the last skull because under this dude's foot. Oh, good lord. That's it's almost not even worth it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. There's a little bit too much paint on this skull that I started with. There we go. When we put in that wash, it's going to fill in and make the rest of it pop out. It'll be easier to see. And I did mention that there was some white up here, but I don't want to rely on the Poxwalker shade to fill that in. So we'll use the Plague Bear Flesh to go ahead and put that color in where we want it. These paints dry relatively quickly too. So you can just flow from one part of the paint into the next part of it. Let's make sure we're not missing anything on our model that could use additional. Like right here, there looks like to be some kind of fleshy or some kind of tube, some tubulars. Let's go ahead and just add some of that paint to it. And whatever, I really did miss a lot on this foot right here. And whatever this is, this doggy doo-doo that he's stepping in. I kind of wish it was more like a tentacle coming out. It'd make more sense to me. Oh, hey, and look at that. There's another bell right there. Sometimes you overlook some things, but that's why you want to go back over your model and make sure you get the spots you missed. And I come to think of it, I can see through those legs. That's the other side of that cloth. So we need to go ahead and hit that cloth in between the legs too, because you will see that, and it will bother me that I never got in there to fix it up. So we got that bell and that cloth, and I think all of our base painting is done. And then we can move over to the wash. We can wash it up. So let's go ahead and pull this back out. Get that. All right, here's the part. We gotta be really careful. I can say that my buddy's method of painting the entire model prior to putting it together makes sense in moments like this. But I have a pretty, what the hell? I was gonna say I'm pretty clean about it, but, or I have a pretty still hand, but I got paint on my hand. Hey, hey, this is what we're talking about. Yeah, okay. I think that looks good. All right, so we can go ahead and put that back. Wash our brush off. And then we can get that little bell that I missed on the foot here. This one right there. Just what it's all about. And there you have it. So now it's washing time. So I have the same sad effect that I was just showing off with that other brush where half the brush is hardened. And this brush that I'm about to pull out is my favorite brush. No, that's not it. Where'd it go? Here we go. I found it. All right. This brush. Oh my gosh. Hang on. A little water should loosen it up. You can actually see where the. You can actually see where it is hardened. All that darker bit on the back end of this brush has made it so. It's only made the tip usable because I forgot to wash this brush off properly and learn from my mistakes on that one. All right. Excuse me. Poxwalker Shade. Let's go. We're only going to really apply this to the... let's put most of it down here because when you apply, like, look how much comes out. Look how much it changes. You really want to push this around. You're going to have a good amount on your brush. Push it around. Get it into all the cracks and crevices. Thin it out by spreading it out. That sounded inappropriate. We'll apply some more. Put it on the back here. Look at that. It looks... Let me see on the camera here. With my eyeballs... Oh, you can't even tell. Well, you kind of tell. I'll post this on Instagram. Same name, by the way. Pen Forge Arts. So that you can get a better idea of what you're looking at. When this dries, it actually becomes very subtle. It looks to the eyeball, it looks like you're really putting it on there. But you got these, all right, so you got these two indentions in the arm here. And then bam, you put this over it and really make sure it gets in there. And then look. Well, once again, the camera isn't doing it justice, but it does add that darker color into it. I mean, I like it. It looks good. It's working for me. I got this recently too as a shade. Mortarian's Grime. I'm not too sure if I want to use this yet. It just looks like a slimy, grimy brown color. I'm not too sure if that's what I'm going for. Maybe I'll use it on some Poxwalkers as an experiment. Poxwalkers, you can really be... You can be unforgiving to them. Just do your own thing with them. They're not as important. Like, this is a character model here who actually leads Poxwalkers, who can lead Poxwalkers, and that is the idea for the list that I made him for. And eventually, I'd like to do something with the base. I've been... all of my models for all of my armies, I've been very lazy on that front. I have not figured out what I want to do with that. Oh man, that looks good. That turns out really good. That brings it together. Whoa, the camera. And welcome back. I just got the camera kind of sitting on the corner here. All right. You got to be careful. Get in there. Get in there. And on the back of this, too. Yeah, once you put on the wash, you're kind of saying you're done. You're done painting anything, any particular base color, because the wash takes some time to really dry. Now we're gonna move on to our strong tone. I'm gonna use that for the horns, the metal, our little dude on the shoulder. I'm also running out of this, except I did get to me another bottle. Oh no. I got paint on my desk. I do have another bottle in the wings. And I do have a dark skin shade as well. I haven't used this one yet either. I like to kind of stay on the things that are proven to work for what I'm going for. I think I used for my great unclean ones, I actually used Null Oil, which is a very popular which is a very popular shade from Citadel. All right, here we go. See, I like the strong tone because it has a very warm feeling to it, like warm colors to it. That also looks a little grimy when it dries, especially on this metal on this bell. So, all right, I did talk about doing the flesh, but because or not the flesh, the fresh rust, it does take some time for this to dry. That I'm gonna have to wait until it is dry. So we will not be putting rust on here during the stream. We'll probably do that some other time. So I figure this would take about 3 hours to do. It looks like I was just about right on that. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, you couldn't see that until I put some of the washing into it, and now it really does pop out. On the back of the bell now. See, I did not get the back of that bell on the ankle, but the wash is kind of going to cover that up for me. And I didn't really get much of his hand there, but again, I think the wash will cover up that mistake. Whoa, jumping out of my hand. I mean, we are almost done. Okay, I think I think we're done. I guess we can get some of this in here. This is already such a dark blue. Oh, wait, hang on. We want to get this sensor right here too. And then in that chain. Yeah, the wash can kind of overlap a little bit. I don't think it's going to be. The one has more of a green tone to it. The other one is just a dark color. And I'm okay with that kind of washing into each other a little bit. All right. I think that's it. We got everything we need to do for it right now. The rust color will come in at a later date after all this wash has dried. Because putting that on there is going to affect the overall. Um, the wash is going to affect how that the rust dries and gives it that rust texture. But there you go. There is our Noxious Blightbringer for our Death Guard army. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next weekend with some drawing. Please check out the Etsy page if you are someone who plays D&D, plays Warhammer. Um, 2026 is going to be a big year of getting more sets up onto the Etsy page. I definitely want to make sure we get more kits. I got a blacksmith set. I want more sets like that. Something for camping, or for the campsite when you're traveling. Maybe a whole village set, different village things that you could have in case you're doing a fight in the middle of a village. And of course, I want to get more things for Warhammer. I do have some castle walls that I've made, but that is a big hefty print, and I'm not ready to throw that out onto the Etsy page until I'm 100% certain that it can be printed quickly and mailed out quickly so that you get it in time for whatever you want to use it for, Warhammer or D&D. Anyway, thanks again. Please leave a follow, and make sure you check out Bullet Breezy's Making It Look Easy on his stream about an hour from now. All right. See you next time.